advantage of TLRP as a program was that it enabled the projects to get together on a sort of thematic basis and sort of share their experiences was one. And then I think the second advantage was actually sharing experiences across different sectors and getting people to sort of reflect and share upon those sort of experiences. And certainly the project seemed to get a lot sort of from that, and then certainly the program as a whole benefited in terms of the sort of quality of the analysis that they then provided. I think for educational research, I think that one of the sort of advantages was pulling large numbers of people together, because the TLRP was so large, sort of 700 researchers, and regularly when we had TLRP conferences and things, we'd have, say, 150 to 200 people, and literally having opportunities to sort of discuss, and there was a sense of sort of community, which very often brings together groups that previously tended to be sort of isolated, or their perspectives and orientations were to things other than sort of primarily education. So I think the big advantage was the way in which it actually brought those sort of groups together and enabled them to share. Well, I think that one of the advantages in terms of educational research was also how it actually sits with regard to other social science disciplines, and in fact with TEL also the extent to which it's seeking to be interdisciplinary and pull in collaboration with computer science and other disciplines. So I think there's been an advantage from sort of educational research itself being moved more to the sort of mainstream, rather than educational research being seen as something which was completely separate or distinct from the other social sciences. And in terms of education for the UK, I think it did provide, it's been very useful in terms of supporting practice in a number of areas: the schools, further education, higher education, and workplace learning. And there's some particular examples where particular projects have been successful. But it's interesting, the projects on workplace learning were very successful. The projects did come together and produced, were very good in terms of sort of sharing knowledge, in terms of willingness to share ideas and put those into practice within the different projects. They produced a number of outputs which do go across or do address issues of workplace learning as a whole, not just issues associated with the projects. And I think that one of the other things that workplace learning has done is, with the sort of focus on skills, if you like, and employability, it's able to actually offer a sort of critique whereby it actually says, well, if you actually look at what sort of companies and employers do, they are actually, many of the companies take a much more progressive attitude towards education and training. So in some cases, some companies are actually paying people more if they've got the ability to support the learning of others, they've got the ability to change the ways people work or thinking about work. And that's actually much more progressive than a narrow view in terms of you just have to reach particular sort of targets. So I think there's an enormous irony there, that the sort of employability agenda and a narrow skills-based sort of agenda which has been driven by the government or by government policy in order to favour what they regard as the needs of employers, doesn't necessarily meet the needs of employers. And certainly I think that one of the things there is that the workplace learning sort of projects, together with the projects sort of from higher education and teacher training and so on, are able to put together a sort of case of actually what is actually required, and to actually show that it's actually a mistaken assumption to even assume that it would be possible to sort of develop skills, knowledge and understanding in higher education, and then or further education, and then just transfer those in a straightforward manner into a new context. Rather, it'd be much more important to actually think about the application of skills, knowledge and understanding in different contexts, and the extent to which that actually requires support and sort of education and training across the life course, rather than it all being sort of front-loaded. So I do feel as though the workplace learning projects have moved to a much more central position in terms of those sorts of discussions. And it's interesting, but I think within TLRP, the workplace learning projects have had a lot to say in terms of a sort of cogent and coherent analysis of not only where we are, but where we need to go.